Okay, scrimmage number 1. Unofficial statistics. Keith Marshall had 2 carries for 80 yards. Had a long of 75 and a touchdown. Gurley had 12 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown. Had averaged about 5 yards a carry. A.J. Turman had 5 carries for 36 yards. Says here an average of 7.2. J.J. had 8 carries for 21. Brendan Douglas had 6 carries for 5 yards. Tell who went against the number 1 defense there. Murray was 13 of 18 for 198 and a touchdown, but he suffered 3 interceptions. Hudson Mason was 12 of 18 for 197 yards and a touchdown with no picks. Bryce had was 4 out of 7 for 36 yards, had 2 picks. LeMay was 1 of 7 for 9 yards, no picks. No, excuse me, 1 pick. 1 pick, no touchdowns. Malcolm Mitchell, 4 catches for 64. Justin Scott Wesley, 4 catches for 53. Artie Lynch, 4 catches for 91 and a touchdown. Jonathan Rump, 4 catches, 53 yards, no touchdowns. Rhett McGowan, 3 catches for 53 yards and a touchdown. J.J. Green caught 3 passes for 20 yards. Conley had 2 for 50. And Reggie Davis with 2 for 23, and then a bunch of other guys had 1 catch. Tackles, we'll go over a few anyway. Reggie Carter had 6. Jordan Jenkins had 6, 3 of which were sacks. Stripling had 5, 1 of which was a sack, and also had 3 tackles for loss. That was Stripling. Fluker had 5 tackles and 1 of the picks. That's Shaquille Fluker. He likes Shaquille, not Shaq. Connor Norman had 5 tackles. Sheldon Dawson had 4 tackles and 2 interceptions. Josh Dawson had 3 tackles, 2 of which were sacks. Josh Harvey Clemens had 3 tackles, 1 was a sack. Austin Herod had 3 tackles and a pick. Swan had an interception. Langley had an interception and a pass breakup. Very unofficial. Official stats. Let me get a drink here.
Defense win?
I would have to say that they probably won if you're going to count the scrimmage, if you're going to say what happened in the scrimmage. There was still an awful lot of yardage. We got into some situational drills, and to say who won those, it's probably relatively even. We did go number 1s versus number 2s, so the number 1 offense had a pretty good day. The number 1 defense had a pretty good day overall. The interceptions weren't good. Obviously, that can ruin your day. A couple long touchdowns, it wasn't good. Of course, that was against the number 2 defense, the longest run that Marshall had. But I thought the guys looked kind of tired. I thought they looked I think they were trying to fight, but I just for the first time didn't see as much juice. It was a little disappointing to me, quite frankly, being that it was a scrimmage. But it's practice number 8. It's the first day after the first 2 a day. I'm sure they are a little worn out. I'm sure they are tired. It was very humid. It wasn't super hot, but it was very humid. I'm sure that had a little something to do with it. But I just think we got a ways to go. We got a ways to go in the short time to get there. So with that, I'll open it up.
What kind of play, Coach, did Keith break his run on inside play?
It started out wide and cut up towards the end and caught a crease and took it to the house.
I don't know the last time you read those stats through that the guys were here and had 3 picks. That's unusual.
Yeah, it was. We had a couple picks that were thrown to guys that looked like they were wide open down the sideline, but safeties covered a lot of ground. Thought the ball hung in the air too long. I think most, not all of them, but a couple of those picks were probably thrown to the right guy, and the guy was open. But because the ball hung in the air long enough, safeties reacted and ran them down. And when they got there, they caught it, to their credit. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Obviously, I haven't seen the film, but I'm trying to remember all of them. But I know it wasn't a bunch of bad decision throws, I didn't think, overall. I just think that the amount of velocity on the ball or the ball placement made the difference. And I know we had one fade into the end zone that if the ball's placed where it's supposed to be, it's not going to be a pick. You got a chance to score. And there was another, that was a very short range fade, and there was a long range fade, now that I think of it, that Sheldon Dawson picked that, again, the ball placement wasn't good. Now the defenders are in good position, but if you put the ball in the right place, rarely will you get a pick as a result. But the balls weren't quite where they're supposed to be, and the DBs took advantage of it and made the plays.
Dawson returned one for a touchdown too. Do you know which play that was, or what happened, and how far it was?
No, I remember the pick he made. The offense had a long play. Might have been the very first play of the scrimmage down the middle. I think it was to Chris Conley. Probably gained 30, 40 yards, whatever it was, 25, 30 yards, something like that. Then the very next play, we took a shot in the end zone, and that was the one that it just wasn't thrown far enough and wide enough, and that one got picked. But I just can't recall the one that went to the house.
But how much of a real game atmosphere was it this morning?
It wasn't a real game atmosphere at all, in my opinion. Obviously, no fans in the stands. That helps bring energy, but it didn't feel like we moved in. It didn't feel like we moved between the hedges to go get after it. You know what I'm saying? You'll have days. I mean, and some days you're tired, you're worn out. You just got to fight through the day, and they did. They fought through the day. But when you scrimmage, and you only have 3 of them, you're thinking it's a special day. You're thinking it's a special day to get it in between the hedges and compete. And again, I'm not saying when the ball snapped they didn't try their best. I'm not saying they were dogging it in any way, but I just saw a lack of energy and enthusiasm and the feeling that, hey, this is a special day. Let's get after it. I didn't sense that. I didn't feel that.
Given that you probably missing some guys defensively with some of these injuries, were you pleased with what they did as a group overall?
Yeah, I did. I mean, there was a lot of really good things. I mean, the number 1 defense certainly got the best of it, but the number 1 offense, I guess you could say minus the picks, if you can say that. I mean, if you throw 3 picks, you might lose on a day like that. But But other than those picks, the offense really moved the ball pretty well against the number 2 defense as well. So it was relatively typical. When I sit and watch the film, I'm going to see the 1 units have their way most of the day, and there'll be some spurts of individuals making some plays with the 2s, but the 2s as a group, they didn't really have a great day other than the interceptions were big with that number 2 defensive unit. And turnovers are huge, so that was impressive.
Apparently, T.J. Stripling had a good day, which, obviously he's a senior now. He
Right.
had that knee injury as a
Right.
freshman, and it seemed like it might have taken him a year or 2 to recover.
Yeah, it
from
was
that
tough on him.
mentally or whatever. He's a senior now. Can he help
Yeah,
you this season?
I think TJ will help us, and TJ, he's going to have his role on our defense, not just special teams, and he had a tremendous offseason as well. You finally see his lower body had caught up to his upper body. I think the injury did slow his career down. Well, it absolutely slowed his career down, but he's put himself in position to help us on some scrimmage downs, and we do try to find the best personnel grouping or the best matchup or the thing that, like TJ, whatever we think he does best, we want to get him in the game to do that, and we do a lot of substitution for that reason. But he's had a good camp so far, and he's in tremendous condition.
Were Bennett and Terry held out for the big
Bennett did not go. His hamstring, I think, was a little tight. And Trammell was there. Trammell was there as far as I can remember. We had a bunch of guys catch 1, so I don't know if he's one of those, but Trammell was out there. Yeah.
Scott Wesley had another good game. We heard a bunch of stuff about him in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Is he in that rotation, or is it still with all that?
I think Justin Scott Wesley's ready to produce for Georgia in ball games more than he has. He was beginning to at the end of last season. If you remember, he had a couple moments there where he really made some plays, and we also are expanding his role in special teams because he's a guy that can run and who's physical, and I think he can protect the punter and cover kicks and get people on the ground. I think he can cover kickoffs. I think he can do some things even on our punt return and block. His role is expanding.
Along that line, Mark, these new receivers trying to crash into a talented rotation already. How about Rump and Davis? Are they?
Right. Rump looks really so much more comfortable now than he did in spring. He just was really finding his way, and now he's much more sure of himself. He looks confident. He's practicing with confidence. I don't think we would be afraid to have Rump get in the ball game. We just got to make sure he really knows what to do in every situation, because it could be one run where a guy makes a mistake and turns a guy free and keeps us from having a big play or something like that. But he's as I watch him, I don't sit there and say, boy, that guy's struggling in any way. I think he's really gaining confidence. And Reggie, all the guys talk about his speed, and he is a fast guy, and he's caught the ball very well. I don't know what his role is going to be, but I would say he's definitely in the race for playing time. We're not thinking red shirt for either one of those two right now.
Seems to be developing a pretty good argument on who's the fastest guy on this team between Reggie Davis, Keith Marshall, Justin Scott Wesley,
And
speed.
Blake Sailors.
Oh, Blake Sailors?
Oh, yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, I think Blake the last couple of years has been the fastest guy on our team.
Seriously?
Yeah.
But these guys were all, high caliber sprinters in high school. You had some really fast teams at Florida State.
Mm-hmm. I'm
starting to hear some rumblings that this may be one of the faster teams.
I don't. We got some good. We have some good speed. We have some guys that you mentioned that can really go. And I think our overall team speed is very good, very competitive. But it's a fast league, so I'm not going to sit here and try to boast that we got something that other people in the league don't already have. There's a bunch of fast guys out there.
Mark, what's the source of caution so far with Burnett? Was he able to go today?
Yeah. He just didn't he had off-season shoulder surgery, didn't he, or something? You know, he's just recovering, and you know, you don't want to go in there and just beat a guy down right off the get-go. So we're just trying to be wise.
What about Wiggins and Trey Matthews? Were they held out today?
Yeah. Both should be back soon.
I'm sorry, both the Huskers play against the number 2 defense today. Did he go in the
I'm trying to think if he had any twos. He might have had the 2 unit with the 1 minute drill, but I think the rest was with the ones.
Coach, it doesn't take much of a Google search on eBay to see autographs being sold from players on your team from everywhere. That's bubbling up in the news really big this morning. It's what is you touched on it a little bit yesterday, but in terms of is there anything amiss there if Todd Gurley signed something and it's being sold on eBay for whatever?
Yeah. Well,
is that something you monitor? Do you care?
I don't monitor it. I can't. I don't have time to monitor that. We have people in the building, I'm sure, that are monitoring things. We have guys that are friendly. When people, if they're at the grocery store and somebody asks them, you know, can I have a picture and would you mind signing this? I mean, our guys, I'm sure, sign it. Good bit. We haven't really sat down. I mean, they know they can't do anything for money, but they, you know, normal civility of a guy who has some celebrity in his life. Most people will stop and take a picture or sign something for someone. So I mean, even I guess picture day, we got, I don't know how we do it now, but it seems like we have 1 or 2 items anybody can bring. Come right through. There'll be hundreds of things that'll come through. They get signed, you know, over the years. And, did we stop the? Did we do that last year? Okay, so there's maybe just signed posters, and that's probably part of the reason for that. But you know, I think every man has to understand his responsibility to do things within the rules, and you know, hopefully everybody's doing that.
Are one of those freshmen, in your eyes, at tailback, making any kind of moves?
I really liked how AJ and Brendan have been practicing, and even though the numbers didn't show it statistically because there wasn't a lot of space, I thought they ran well. I thought they ran with power and some pretty good vision for what they had to work with a couple times. The ball security's been excellent. The pass protection, Brendan, for a true freshman, Brendan Douglas has been one of the better pass protectors I've seen just coming out of high school. So that part of the game's been good. AJ, as I read a minute ago, had 3 catches, and you know, those 2 guys are doing good. And then AJ Turman had a touchdown run in the red zone against the number 1 defense. That was pretty impressive. Bounced it outside. I think he got a good stiff arm and used his speed to dive just across the pylon for a touchdown. A very impressive run. So I mean, I like what I'm seeing there.
That was today with AJ?
Yeah, today's.
Like one of those situational things.
Yeah, when we got down in the red zone, if I'm not mistaken, he bounced out. I think he had a touchdown run. I think that was the one. I don't see that showing. He might have been out like on the inch line or something, but it's he was, you know, at least a 10 or 12 yard run. It was a very nice run. Anybody else?
I have one more. What you talk about, and this is about evaluation. And you guys might have been a little bit tired, maybe going through it.
Right.
Is there an understanding for young guys you found over the years that they understand this is evaluation and that means everything?
Oh yeah.
What you do, how you go about your business?
Well, we talk about it every single day, every single drill. I mean, we film everything, and I was reminding them yesterday, talking about today coming up about that very thing, about how important it is in our evaluation. A scrimmage is very important, but I was trying to tell them every drill is important. I said, if you see me over here watching pass skeleton and there's a pass rush drill back there, and you're thinking I'm not watching, I am watching, because tonight I watched the wide copy, I watched the tight copy, and you know, I am, as well as the staff, on a daily basis are trying to decide, are you ready to play? Have you, you know, I keep talking to them about earning the respect and earning the coach's approval, basically, because they're the ones that are going to decide whether you play or not. And so we've been beating that point pretty hard. I think they understand. Yes. All right. Yep.